Stand, if you would, with me, and let's welcome Mr. Weaver as he comes and opens the Word tonight. Bless you. Thank you, sir. Take your time.
Thank you. Praise God. Praise God. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I would appreciate you have a seat now. Thank you very much. I want you to know that this is the 9th time I have spoken in 5 days. I have a bad back. You saw the accident. I have bad knees. I have a high maintenance wife that likes to shop, so I have to walk the malls 3-4 times. But and as tired as I am, after this evening, you saw me run up these steps here, and I'm telling you, to see me run up the steps ever, that to me is just saying the power is already here. It's here. And usually when we have the power, it's available to us, but only if we plug into it. So tonight I'm going to try to get you to plug into it. Before I do, I want to take a moment to acknowledge, as I always do, my rib. You see, God said that it was not good for man to be alone. He didn't say it wasn't good for woman to be alone. He didn't say it wasn't good for children to be alone. But he said it was not good that the man should be alone. So for his own good, for man's own good, God put man to sleep because he would argue with him all the way. He wasn't asleep, so he put man to sleep. And he prepared something for his own good. And every day, every morning I wake up, and I look over this beautiful creature laying next to me, and I have to say, good job, God. I want to introduce you to the world's most beautiful woman, my wife, Brenda. You know, my wife is my motivator. You see, men don't mind you being manipulative if you're good at it. It's when you're bad at it that we get upset. When you're good at it, give me a couple of examples of being good at manipulating. My wife tells me that I'm the man of the house. I'm the king of the home. I make all the decisions. She just gives me the choices. Just give me the choices. Because the choices are important. When we had my wife, we've been married now for a few decades, so she has understood this now. She didn't know at first, but she gets a new wedding ring every 5 years. And she didn't know that at first. And she's now beginning to count. And so she's looking forward to the next 5 years. But the first time, I went to my wife and I tried to get her to think about maybe buying some of these cheap, fake, phony, cubic zirconium things, I didn't know. See, she gave me that look, the same look my mother gave me when at 7 years old, I thought I had picked out the perfect birthday gift, the bathroom scale. I didn't know. All I knew was that my mother every morning was in the bathroom on this scale saying, this thing must be broken. So I figured I'm going to be the hero. Ladies, we just want to be the hero, So I'm going to get her a bathroom scale. She gave me the same look that my wife gave me when I suggested we may want to go out and buy some cubic zirconium rings. The same look. But here's how she reacts, folks. You got to understand this, how to motivate your man. See, my wife didn't say, well, I'm not going to. No, she said, hey, baby, I'll just reflect you. I will look the way you want me to look. I will dress the way you want me to dress. I'll be the woman you want me to be. She said, you go out and you find me the best cubic zirconium rings you want to find. I will probably wear whatever my husband buys me. Now, while you're out there shopping, you may want to pick up one of those rubber blow-up plastic dolls, or do you want a real wife? Proper motivation. See, I just said, well, just give me your list of favorite jewelry stores. We can take care of the rest of this. It's okay. Properly motivating people. You saw the accident, you saw the tragedy, you saw the hatred, you saw the racism, you saw all the garbage that the world pours out on us, trying to keep us separated by our differences. try to keep us thinking about what you done to me. I call it singing the white man that done me wrong song. You hear it all the time. The white man that done me wrong song. You know, it's not my fault, it's your fault. Folks, if you're a grown man, everything in your life is your fault. If you're a real man, everything is your fault. You see, what has to happen, we can understand, you got a 21-year-old egotistical black man, or any man, with that male ego, that aggression, and you convince that man that another man has all the power over you. You convince that guy, you convince him that another man controls your income, your learning, your wife, your children. If you really convince him it's true, that male ego will ball up in him. He become bitter and angry. He'll feel justified in any crime against you. He will hate his own woman because she thinks that other guy's giving her favor. He'll call her names to keep himself down. He will feel, why go to school? The white man got all the power. Why get a job? The white man will keep me down. Why go out and get myself together because the white man is going to keep me? You know, and see, if me and my little buddies, we all sit around, all 5, 6 of us, we're talking about the white man got me down. The white man doing this to me. The white man is why I can't get a job. The white man stopped me and arrested me, harassed me. The white man fired me because I'm black. And then one of us decides, well, I'm going to go try to get a job anyway. I think I'm going to go to school anyway. I'm going to go into business anyway. Now, the rest of us, you have to understand now, the rest of us have to bring him down. Because, see, if this guy leaves our group of pity parties and get out and try to earn a living and achieve any kind of success, he is proving that we're just lazy. So we got to bring him down, call him names. Tell him he's an Uncle Tom, he's a sellout. Yeah, you got the man. You forgot where you came from. Yeah, you forgot where you came from, folks. If you're not going to go where you want to go, if you want to leave where you are, it seems like you should be trying to forget where you came from. It seemed to me like if you're going to, I don't still hang around the same guys I hung around in the 5th grade with. I left them. I don't play ball anymore. I left them. I left where I was to go where I'm going. I cannot be in San Diego and Raleigh-Durham. I have to leave where I am. Oh, well, Mason, okay, you made it now, Mason, so give something back to the community. Give me the bill. What I owe you? What did you do for me to get me where I'm going other than tell me I couldn't make it? Give me the bill. See, when they tell you to give something back to the community, you never hear them say, give something back to your family. Give something back to your wife. Give something back to your children. See, they can't tell you that because, see, they don't own your children, but they own the community. Give something back to the community means pick more cotton for me. Pick more, keep serving me. And see, I don't care if you're black or white. The plantation didn't care if you were black or white. The plantation started off with white indentured servants from Europe. That didn't work, so they tried Indians. That didn't work. They tried black folks that happened to work. But it wasn't personal. It wasn't personal. It was just personal. See, it wasn't that they hated black people. They loved their children. And if they can get you to work in their fields, picking their cotton, to take care of their children, they don't care what color you are. If you send your kids to these gang prep schools out here, teaching them to hate each other, teaching them that they're only a product of their mother's choice, teaching them that when they get old enough, there'll be no Social Security, teaching them that you hate them, teaching them that there's no hope and no future. If you give your children to them to teach, they'll raise your kids to work for their kids. It's not personal. It's just personal. If you think someone's going to raise your child better than you, you don't know human nature. You see, because I'm going to tell you how it is. If you let me take 45% of your income in taxes and then let me raise your children in my schools, I will raise little Johnny to work for my son. And I don't care how smart Johnny is. If he has the cure for cancer, I guarantee you he will develop that cure in my son's laboratory. It ain't personal. It's just personal. See, I don't love your children. I love mine. I don't love your wife. I love mine. So if you think that I'm going to provide for you, and if you allow me to identify your culture for you, tell you what your culture is. Your culture is to work for me. Your culture is to serve me. Your culture is to also not trust the person sitting next to you, but trust me. Your job in life is to work all your life for me, and when you die, I will take all you have left. It's called Social Security. Social Security. I mean, think about it for a second, folks. You work all day, 8 hours a day. They tax you when they take your money from you. They put it in their bank, and trust me, they get interest on that money. Trust me on that now. 40 years they take your money. 40 years they take interest on your money. They tax you when they take it. When you retire, if you're not a good investor, if you haven't had other income, if you don't do good with the stock market, if you're not dead broke, they may give you some back. If you have too much money coming in, they keep that too. But if you're broke, like a good little slave, if you need them for you got to be a good little slave now. You got to be the best cotton picker on the plantation. Then they give you some pennies to keep you alive, strong enough to get down to the voting booth to vote for them and vote for your government cheese program, vote for your midnight basketball instead of midnight library. And then when they give you the little pennies, then when you die, they'll keep the rest because you don't need it, your kids don't need it, your wife don't need it. That's okay, I'll keep the rest. Now, some of you may know I'm a black man. I've been a black man all my life. Except a little bit of time at Berkeley, I was an African American, but I got over that. You know, I realized that if I moved to Africa, would they call me an African American African? I got over that. But at Berkeley, I studied black history and I speak Swahili and all militants. But in my studies of black history, it dawned on me that the slave system always expected me, the black man, to work all my life, pick all his cotton, to take care of his wife. Not personal. It's just personal. For me to work and for me to breed my replacement, work hard till I couldn't work anymore, and then die quietly and get out of his way. That's what he wanted me to do. To work hard, to pick the cotton. Even when the master died, for me to still be picking that cotton and take care of his wife. Not my wife. Now, Social Security right now, folks, understand, there is, in my opinion, there is not a healthier man in this country than a 19, 18-year-old black man. Healthy. Run, track, play basketball, jump hoops, sing and dance all night long, chase women all day long, catch a few. We're the strongest men at age 18. Can someone tell me why we die at age 69? We die before anybody else in this country, but we're the strongest at 18. We die at age 69. So here's Master's plan. At 18, that's when you start working. You work for 40 years, take all your money out, and then you die, and he keeps the rest for his wife. You see, right now, we pay Social Security. Let's take a man, a 25-year-old black man, uneducated, unmotivated. He works at the fast food restaurant for $5 an hour. Minimum wage, before the mean Republicans don't give him a wage increase. Minimum wage, $5 an hour. They take his Social Security contribution, 12% of that money. They tax him when they take it out, okay? And they put it in the government lockbox, as someone said a couple of years ago. And they save it for 25 years. He never gets a pay raise. From age 25 to age 50, he never gets a pay raise. That 12% income, if he retired or got hurt, had to go on retirement, he would get $470 a month until he died. And then when he died, the government keep the rest and all the interest. And one political party thinks that is what you deserve. Now let's take the same 25-year-old, uneducated, unmotivated black man, $5 an hour, $5 an hour. He takes that same 12% Social Security and he buys U.S. Treasury bills. Folks, there is nothing on the planet safer to invest in. There is nothing else safer. And all he buys are savings bonds. Let's give him 5% interest on his money. 25 years, age 50, he gets hurt. He now has $970,000 in the bank. His money. Trust me, somebody's going to have $970,000 in the bank off of your income. Whether it be you or not, depends on which party you support. Simple as that. It depends on which party you support politically. Either you're going to get the $970,000 on $5 an hour, and maybe $5 an hour you make, by the way, or somebody else will. Now, I'm the party, let's say I'm the party for the poor. You hear me say it all the time? I'm the party for the poor, they're the party for the rich. When I was in Berkeley, I started asking the question, well, which one do I want to be when I grow up? Now, wait a minute now. You're the party for the poor. You get your votes from poor people. You get your support from poor people. You get your power from poor people. Let me start thinking instead of feeling here. Let me start thinking instead of feeling. You know, feeling didn't work for me too well. I'm going to try thinking now. Okay, here we are now. If you get your votes from poor people, you will never find a poor neighborhood. Never find a poor neighborhood voting Republican. You can't find one. And you can very seldom find a poor neighborhood that doesn't vote Democratic. And as the community becomes more wealthy, the less chance it has of voting Democratic. So if you're a Democratic Party leader, you're not interested in bringing prosperity. You're interested in bringing more comfort in poverty. And more comfort. You end up giving the slaves better working conditions. You're giving the slaves better hours. You're giving the slaves more medical benefits. You're giving the slaves more government cheese programs. You're giving the slaves more gang prep programs. You're giving the slaves more schools that graduate uneducated people. And then you give them affirmative action so they can go to college for free too. But still won't learn anything, become college dropouts. You give the slaves more benefits, more attention. You got programs for the slaves. You got programs for them. You got a plan. The master has a plan. It's called the master plan. You better understand what it is. The master plan. To keep you in those fields. So here I am now working to take care of master's wife. I'm sorry, I have a high maintenance woman here. She requires an occasional pair of shoes. Now, although she stood at the altar and agreed to marry me for better or worse, she still requires a yearly audit just in case you want to make sure. I'm responsible for this woman. Not your woman, this woman. See, that's why God only gave man one woman. We can only afford one woman. So I can't be responsible for your woman. I'm not going to work all my life to take care of your woman. You're going to do it yourself. I had an interview I had a debate on TV. I tend to only go on TV programs one time. I don't know why they don't invite me back. I don't understand. It may be something I said. I don't know. But I was on Politically Incorrect one time. And on the program was Florence Henderson, the mother in Brady Bunch. And we were talking about affirmative action and other nice little things about how we're going to take care of the poor, lonely folks, because she has so much feelings. And she said to me, well, Mason, affirmative action has helped white women. And I said, well, Florence, I'm neither. Why would I march and demonstrate in the 60s to bring a special program so that you and your white husband can have some benefits? I said, now you may be Miss Brady, but you're not Miss Daisy. And I'm not driving. I'm not going to take care of you, woman. Are you out of your mind? I'm not going to take my money, pick your cotton for 40 years and leave you my money. Folks, it's time that we wake up to who we are. You see, they have us motivated like a herd of sheep, scared. They scare you and then they give you a solution. They frighten you and then they have a solution. They feel your pain because they're the ones stabbing a knife in you. That's why they feel your pain. But understand, it's never personal. It's never personal. It's just personal. So a herd of sheep, think about the herd of sheep for a minute. The herd of sheep herds together tightly into the herd, not because they love each other, but because they're scared of something. They're frightened of something. Something out there going to get them. It's called the wolf. And they have to herd together because they're afraid of something called the wolf. Now, most sheep, especially nowadays, have never seen a wolf. Never smelled a wolf. Never encountered a wolf tracks. But they know the wolf is there because the sheep herder told them. The sheep herder said, don't go out there because the wolf will get you. The sheep herder said, don't go to that meeting, the wolf. Don't talk to that black guy on that bus because the wolf going to get you. Don't let that woman going to go crazy. Don't talk to that child. They want you to be so afraid the wolf is going to get you that you just sit there quietly and holler in fear because the wolf will get you. And the wolf-like dog, called a sheepdog, he's a snap at your heels and telling you to go here and go there. Out of fear, you do that. If you have a crime crisis, they got a crime bill for you. Got a health crisis, you got a health bill for you. You got a housing crisis, you got a housing bill for you. I understand you got a politician here in a little bit of trouble with the campaign contributions. I don't know his name. I do know, I'm not going to tell you his name. You know, he's in trouble with some wrong contributions. Took some money illegally. Broke some laws, campaign laws. I'm leaving tomorrow. I want you guys to watch the news. I guarantee you, I will tell you in advance what the solution is going to be for him. He broke the campaign laws. He broke the laws already in the books. And the solution is going to be more laws. Guarantee you. We got to stop. They're going to try to stop corporations from giving money because they're going to steal your money. And they're going to pass more laws on you being politically active because he can't help stealing. The sheep, trust me, that will be the proposal. I will guarantee you. That is always the proposal, more control of your life. Always the proposal. So here's the sheep now, herded together and scared. But I ask you a question. Who kills more sheep? The wolf or the sheep herder? Now the sheep herder, of course, takes you to the shelter. He provides you food. He takes care of you, all of your needs. He's comforting you. But he doesn't do it out of love for you. The sheep herder loves the rack of lamb. The sheep herder loves the soft feel of your hair on his jacket. The sheep herder likes the feel of your skin on the back seat of his Mercedes. He doesn't love you. He loves what you can do for him. It's not personal. It's just personal. He don't care how you feel about it. He's going to make sure you feel pain along with how you feel about it. He don't mind you suffering as long as you suffer quietly and go about your ways as a sheep to slaughter. We got to stop being sheep. We got to realize we're all wolves and run that sheep herder off the farm. See, the plantation is set up to make you dependent. It's like an abused woman. Abused woman, you can't rescue her. You can't go to her and say, leave that man, he's abusing you. She said, you crazy, you're going to feed me. She goes to work with a black eye and talk about she fell down the steps. You call the police and then fight on the middle of the street. She'll fight the police when he shows up. You can't leave her. If he leaves that woman, she'll go out and find another man just like him. You cannot help her until she gets tired. And then you ain't got to help her. She could boil some water up. I'm going to take care of this problem. Oh, yeah. This is done today. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you want some food? I got something for you. You don't have to take care of her. You see, when it's time to leave, your job as a church is to have a safe place for her to come to. You got to build a shelter in advance. You got to build the requirement place for her to come to in advance. So when she gets tired of that man, then you got to train your daughters up to recognize that man way before the marriage. Way before the marriage. Got to recognize that man way. See, a mile away. Then you can have your brothers and your sons and your fathers around and say, hey, Junior, let me talk to you for a minute. Come here. Talk to you for a minute. Go outside and talk for a second. But see, we can't do that today because the men aren't protecting the women any longer because the women are proclaiming their freedom and independence. You want to know what they call a liberated woman? An ex-wife. Give me my last name back. You want to be liberated. Want to be free? Give me my last name back then. Catch and release. Stay back out there in the woods again. Catch and release, you know. How can you say, I mean, what we got to do now, folks, we got to free these men up to be men. Ladies, we will conquer the world for you, and all we want is to be your hero. Just tell me we're your hero. Don't tell me you're as strong as I am. I have never heard a man come in from a club, go to work the next day, talk to his buddy, hey man, guess what? I went out last night to the club, man, met this girl, boy, she was so strong. I've never heard a man say that. I may be out of it, but I've never heard, she's strong, man. She gonna work no. We don't care how strong you are. No more than the lion cares how strong the deer is. We don't care how strong you are. But if you will protect and support and respect my strength, I respect your weakness. And I use my strength to provide a home for you and to chase the bad guys away for you and put an environment for your kids and you can live and be raised in peace and harmony for you. I'll do that all for you. All I want is to be a hero. I'll give my life for you if I'm your hero. You see, in my home, my wife and I does not have an equal relationship. I'm predestinated as the person that's going to die for the family. If you kick my front door open in the middle of the night, I have been predestinated. You know, we don't have no 50-50 relationship. I don't wake up and say, honey, I went last time and we got a 50-50 relationship going on here. Now, if I'm going to die for her and we equal, I'm just her dog. If we equal, if I'm going to die for you, we're not equal here. If I'm going to give my life for you, if you laying in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, that dude laying next to you snoring, ladies, if you wake up and look at him snoring there and you're not convinced, if I knock your door open, he will not get up and go down that hallway to prepare to die for you and those kids. You're not convinced, you shouldn't be laying there. If you're not worth dying for, he's not worth you being there for. You're supposed to be the golden statue. Got to be worth something. But if I'm going to die for you, why wouldn't you live for me? Why wouldn't you just relax and live for me? If I'm going to raise my children under my name, in my image, as I give my life for you, live for me. Now, right now, I'm not expected to die at this moment. I'm not required to die right now. So meanwhile, get me a sandwich. You know? I mean, think about it. Can I just say that for a minute? And while you're getting the sandwich, pass me the remote control. And when you go get the sandwich, act like you like it. Just act like it. You don't have to be really liking it. You don't have to really like it, but make me think you like it, because you know you can make me think anything that you want to make me think. So make me think that you really like to go get that sandwich from me. I'm just telling you that. See, if you tell me that you are equal to me and you are as strong as I am, why do I need somebody in my bed as strong as me? I'm going to give my life for somebody as strong as I am. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. I don't want anybody in my home, including my children, as strong as me. When you get to be as strong as I am, get some luggage. You got to go. You got to go. Let me know how you doing, boy. Let me know how you are. You got to go somewhere, though. No, folks. They got you thinking as a parent, your job is to let these children peck you to death like a bunch of chickens. You know? See, my wife and I have a great understanding. I handle all the stress in my home. She handles none of it. Zero stress. Because, see, women don't handle stress well. They transfer it to you. So you may as well handle stress before it gets there anyway. You may as well deal with the stress. Because mama don't deal with stress well. Men do. We should either kill it or bury it or drag it somewhere else. We just, you know. We were sitting in the living room one night and the phone rang. Telemarketer. My wife answered the phone. She's debating, arguing, man, trying to talk about something. I don't know what it was. And it finally got too stressful to her. She said, oh, excuse me, you know what? This, I didn't recognize. This is stressful. I don't handle stress. Let me give you to the stress handler. Just pass the phone to me. I just hung the phone up. You know? You know? She feels like she has to explain why to him. And listen to him. And be courteous and understanding and explain to him why she came by this. I click. Hang the phone up. Stress. We have to have, see folks, the plantation society wants you to think that you're not a couple, that you're individuals. They want you to think that there's a 50% chance of a divorce. You hear it all the time. Divorce rate. What is it? 50%. You keep hearing it, don't you? You hear it over and over again. The divorce rate is 50%. 50%. Anybody ever seen the divorce rate? Anybody ever look it up? Anybody ever thought, maybe go see, if you listen to the press, you're depressed. Okay? I challenge you to look it up. I'm going to tell you something right now. Nobody is going to believe. Not a single person in this room is going to believe it because you get your information from Master. See, if you were a World War II veteran out there in the Pacific Island fighting the enemy and you get all your news about the war from Tokyo Rose, you have a warped view of the war. The divorce rate in this country is not 50%. The divorce rate in this country has never been 50%. I'm going to tell you something that you will not believe. And when you gasp and say, oh, really? And when you go home, you look on the internet under the only place they count divorces, the federal government. You got to go to the court to get divorced, right? They count every one. They got death rates. They got marriage rates. They got birth rates. They got divorce rates. You look it up. Oh, you stop at 7-Eleven. You go in to buy your gum. On the rack there, in the book rack, there's an almanac. Pick it up. Look at the index. Take you 5 seconds. Divorce rate. Look it up. See if I'm right or wrong. The divorce rate in our country has never been, even before we became a country, never been close. Never even close to 10%. But you're not going to believe it because everybody keeps saying 50%. 50%. Because they want you to think it is almost impossible for you to stay with that man. It's almost impossible for that man to stay with you. He's going to leave you one of these days, girl. You know, 50% chance he's going to leave you tomorrow night. You better be cool. I better find somebody else just in case. Plan B. Plan B, girl, you know. They want you to think that marriage is impossible. But it's not. Marriages are flourishing, but they want you to think it's not. They want you to think that you don't even get married. What's the breakup rate of folks living together? Huh? What's the breakup rate of baby's daddy? What's that? They want you to think, because the reason why, folks, that Master never wanted you to think about a family. He never said, give something back to your family. The reason why is that man will die for his wife. You give your life for your wife. You'll go down the hallway and die for your wife. But he don't want you to think about a wife. He wants you to die for him. He wants you to die for him. He wants you to work all your life and provide for him. He wants you to give all the labor you have for him, not your wife. That's why it says, give something back to the community. That's him. Never give something back to your family. You see, a family is a man and a woman raising children together and having a neighborhood of men and women raising children together. That's called a community. And family is a man and a woman providing for that child of safety and security. And so marriage is a commitment to a man and a woman to provide security for those children. A marriage is between a real natural-born woman and a real natural-born man. I didn't say man-made woman. I didn't say man-made man. I said a real natural-born man and a natural born woman providing security for those children and those kids. That is the purpose for a family. And that's why Master is attacking that institution. It will free you. It will give that man that has that fiery warrior in his chest a reason to die. And Master doesn't want him to have a reason to die. He wants that man to be out in the streets breeding other single families so that Master can take care of them babies for you and provide the education he wants those babies to have, which is to serve him. Master's always allowed that man to be free to breed everywhere he wanted to breed. And to be free of the responsibility to take care of that child. He wants that man to brag about how many babies he had. And breeding babies for Master's plantation. He didn't care about who's going to feed them child. He'd gladly, folks, I will take care of all your babies for you if you give me 45% of your income. As many babies you want to make, I give you milk, food stamps, government cheese. I give you all you need. You just give me 45% of all your income. I mean, let me tax your gasoline, tax your food, tax your cigarettes, tax your home, tax your airline tickets, tax your car, tax your house payment, tax the grass seat you buy for your house. Let me tax every time you move your money. Let me tax it. And I would gladly take care of your children for you, even when you die. I'm that kind of guy. Kind of guy I am. If you give me all your money, I will gladly feed you until you die. And I will guarantee you have enough strength, enough medication to drag yourself down to the voting booth to vote for me in the next election. To keep me in power. You are what you vote for, folks. I suggest the next election cycle, just my own little suggestion here, that you may want to take this little book with you down to the voting booth. Now, you will worry some folks. They'll get upset, but take this little book down to the voting booth, and you put your ballot on the book, and you vote as a Christian. Not as a male or female or black or white or rich or poor, East Coast or West Coast. You vote as a Christian. You vote God's way, and you'll find your community much safer, much more vibrant, much more safer, and much freer. You see, freedom means that you're free to live next to somebody you don't like. You know, out in California, my neighbor, before we moved, who we don't get along a whole lot. Matter of fact, I really can't stand him. I gotta be honest. I don't like him because he hates God. So I don't like being around him. I don't like pretending like I like somebody. You're gonna know I don't like you, see, because I'm a godly man. You need to know. If you're ungodly, you need to know as soon as you meet me. And if you're a single man and you're hanging around me, you're talking about all the women you got, you're not gonna get a very favorable response from me. I don't think that you need to be preying on the women in the community. If you're a thief, and I know you're not gonna be comfortable. See, as a righteous man, unrighteous men should not be comfortable in my presence. Just the way I've been raised. So my neighbor and I, we know we don't like each other. I know him politically. He knows who I am. I've been on the radio, and everybody knows me. So one day, he's been flying this Confederate flag. Bless his heart. Yes, he has. He's been flying the Confederate flag, and I've been ignoring him. And so one day, after ignoring him, he walked up the hill, the little embankment, my back fence. He walked up. I'm in the backyard. He said, "Mason, I'm just curious, man. Does my flag offend you?" And I'm saying, why would the rag on that pole offend me? It's in your yard. Why would it offend me? He said, well, you people, sometimes you people. I said, what you mean? You mean tall, handsome, rich black man? What you mean? What? You people. You mean men with pretty wives? Seen yours, but he said, well, Mason, I just want to know, does it offend you? It symbolizes things to me, and what does my flag symbolize to you, Mason? I said, well, okay, when I see your flag, it symbolizes the flag of the losers. In case you haven't heard, the war is over. And righteous men, black and white, won. You see, men who decided that they were not going to live in a country that one man could hold another man captive. One. Men, white men, rich men, free men, all ready to cure, rose up and sent 360,000 of their white brethren to die, fighting their own brothers to free strangers. When I see your flag, buddy, I remember this country went back to its roots and was determined that people like you would not be in rulership in this country. When I see your flag, I realize that we as a nation went back and created a creed that all men are created equal, and I can compete against you, and I can beat you in politics, I can beat you in economics, I can beat you. What that flag proves to me is that we still live in America. Fly your flag. Fly your flag. You're not going to upset me, you're going to motivate me. Here we have a nation where wealthy, free white men gave all their wealth, never expecting anything back, to free people in bondage. Now, I want to know, as a righteous people, instead of asking for reparations, when are we going to stand up and say, thank you? Yeah. Thank you. You don't owe me an apology, I owe you a thank you. You don't owe me any reparations, I owe you a thank you. You don't owe me the government cheese programs or affirmative action, I owe you a thank you. Now I got to stand with you shoulder to shoulder, take my position in this country, help defend this country, your woman and my woman, your child and my child, defend this nation, getting back to the real culture, not black culture, not white culture, but the American culture. Well, my friend stopped flying his flag shortly after that. I guess he didn't have the same zeal he had for after that. Understand, folks, what happened. You had people in captivity. Generations told that their only lot in life was to work all their life for someone else. That they had no rights, they had no dignity, their children didn't belong to them. So like today's Democratic Party, your children belong to them. I'm getting political because I am. I'm really not sorry either, by the way. But because I'm right. Why am I going to be sorry if I'm right? You know, and the folks get their feelings hurt for what I say. Guess what? I already have a wife. I don't need one of them. I got a whole lot of friends. I don't need none more of them. I don't have to make you happy. I get paid anyway. So I'm going to tell you the truth and go home. If you don't like it, you got to deal with yourself on that. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to go home. You got a spirit in this country, a spirit that has always been here. It's a spirit of slavery. It's a spirit of rape and murder and depravity. It's a spirit that puts one man to think he can control the destiny of another man. That's a spirit that formed the plantation system, the black code system. It's the party that formed and passed the Fugitive Slave Act, an act that said that I could be free in the North and always been free. And a white man could just accuse me of being a slave. I think you're a slave once back. I think you escaped, Mason, slavery. And by the accusation, I will lose all my constitutional rights to defend myself in court. That kind of country could not live. So what happened in that country, what happened in a situation like that, the slave master was telling the slaves that those Northerners hate you. They're going to kill you. They want you to die. It's a trick. Mason, it's a trick. Don't go to freedom. Those white folks will not give you a job in the North. They're not giving any slave a job. They want you to die in the woods. Your mother left last year. You ever heard from her? She's dead. Your brother left. He's dead. I have the bowl. You get your food from the bowl. Stay here and keep working for me and I'll feed you. They told the Northerners, those slaves, man, look at they're singing, they're dancing, they got free housing, free medication, they get free food, we give them a shoe once a year, a shoe once a year. You know, when they work them all night, they can quit at night, they got their own garden, they sing on weekends, they entertain, they go to church on Sunday, they enjoy. It's a burden on us to take care of them. And then some of those slaves said, well, I'm going to die tonight, I'm going to freedom. I'm going to die. And they went up north and told those guys, you know, fellas, they're raping our women and our men. They're killing us. They're beating us to death. We're dying early. We need your help. We need your help. And the principles of this country, the principles of this country is that you sacrifice everything to help somebody else. The principles, folks, the founding nation, the founding fathers, the people who signed the Declaration of Independence were wealthy, rich, established white men, and they lost everything they had by signing names in the Declaration. You realize that? They lost their fortunes. The British troops took their homes, took their farms, took their cattle, sometimes took their children, never seen them again, killed them. You look at the history of those founding fathers, and they were slaughtered. But they were already free, already wealthy, making money the way the system was already, but they would not live in a country where one man held another man in burden. That's the nation that we formed. And now you have, fast forward to the 1800s, and you got a nation that's divided right down the middle, and where you have people thinking that one man has the opportunity to hold another man in captivity, and rich, wealthy white people in the north put their wealth together and formed the Underground Railroad to lead slaves to freedom, but they sent down to the south, not themselves, but escaped slaves to their own plantation, so they knocked on that door, and you opened the door, but there was your brother standing there. You knew who he was. It wasn't a trick from master. This is your mother who left last year. They're telling you, master is lying to you. He's lying to you about freedom. He's lying to you about what's up north. He's lying to you about the avenue for you to be free economically, that your labor to be yours. He's lying to you. I have been to freedom. I know where freedom is. I will lead you all the way to freedom if you're not afraid to walk right now. Because we can't wait and debate and see if Al Sharpton appreciates it or not. We can't wait to see if Jesse Jackson is going to make sure he got a walkway for you or not. The freedom train leaves right now. You're going or not. Let's go. Stay here and pick cotton. Let's go to freedom. It depends on you, folks. And they got up and they left. They forced their way free. They didn't care about the tribal chief set above them by master. They didn't care about the fear the master said was out there for them. My hero, Harriet Beecher Stowe, went 27 times to her own plantation. 27 times leading the same slaves free. They had to know she was coming. They had to know she was coming. They had a bounty of $40,000 dead or alive on her. 40,000. Just tell me when she's coming. That's all you got to do. Now, a slave can buy their freedom for $500. A slave can buy their freedom. For $40,000, you can buy the whole plantation. 27 times, she never lost one slave, and no one ever turned her in. She went to freedom and led those folks to freedom because freedom was more important than 40,000, more important than free and master, but she only took those who wanted to go. You're building a great sanctuary here and a great church here, but you can only build with people who want to go. You can't bring folks in there who want to argue about, well, we may not all get to go to heaven. We don't want to all be free. We all can't be rich. Those folks need to go find someone else to go to, because they won't do nothing but bring stress into your mess here. They won't do nothing but bring doubt and anxiety. They're sitting around your meeting room talking about, this ain't going to work. This thing ain't going to work. You know, I don't like the way Pastor looked at me. Yeah, he wasn't cool. You know, that's second one there, the quietest thing, but all they can do is bring stress in here. The Underground Railroad was successful because he only took those who wanted freedom. They left those who didn't want freedom. They left them there. Every organization you want to construct has to be built on people of like minds. Those rich Christians. It was a Christian movement, folks. It wasn't a white movement, a black movement. It was Christian people. Harriet Beecher Stowe was a Christian woman. John Brown was a pastor, Christian man. The Underground Railroad was formed by the Western Church and the Quaker Church because God said, let my people free. Those Africans came here worshiping all kind of false and useless gods, hanging on to falsehoods and fake religions, calling on the snake god, the wind god, the sun god, the moon god, everybody's God but the real God. Taken in captivity, They stayed in slavery until they start calling on the name of the Lord, singing those Negro spirituals in the fields, calling on the Lord to save them, and God sent them a Savior and led them to freedom. They marched out of slavery singing those Negro spirituals. God's people are always free when they worship God. You look in the Bible, read Judges 2 to Judges 6. Chapter 2, all the way through Gideon. You see the people of God worshiping God, staying free, turning their backs on God, going to slavery, going back to God, coming out free, turning their back on God, going to slavery. Back and forth. Your freedom depends on how you're worshiping your God. You will never see in history or the Bible, you will never see in history of the Bible where the people of God will go into captivity while the nation is praising God. You won't see it. And you won't see them stay in slavery if the people of God start praising God. The people here in this country, the black slaves here, their freedom was associated with how they praise God. Now, my wife and I went to Haiti with guests of the president. And they treated me royally. They shut down the National Museum and gave us a private tour. It was really great and wonderful, but then I had to answer questions. There's one problem, folks, with me and questions. I tend to give you the answer. There was, Mason, why is it that Haiti was the second free nation in this hemisphere, and America was the first, but Haiti is the poorest, America is the strongest and the richest? Why? I said, voodoo. Voodoo. That's why. You can never find a nation, a state, a city, a neighborhood, or a family worshiping voodoo that are prospering. Voodoo. God will not prosper you if you're giving credit to voodoo. Therefore, since you already defeated the French, they defeated the Spanish, they defeated England, they did great things, powerful things, they showed the world the black African traders in Haiti proved to the world that slaves would fight for their freedom. It was the only slave nation where the slaves overthrew the ruling people. That nation of Haiti off the coast, here you had a black nation of ex-slaves with an emperor off the coast of Florida. Those slaves in Georgia and North Carolina and South Carolina saw that and said, whoa, wait a minute. And started stirring. And 10 years later, 20 years later, we were free. Because all of a sudden they said, well, something's going to happen here. They did a great thing. But they went right downhill because they gave credit to those same gods that got them here. And they're still sitting off the coast of the richest country on the planet. They are across the road to another country that's prospering. The same island, the same dirt. The same dirt. On one side of the island is prospering, the other side they're burning away. You look at God, folks, God is consistent. The same ocean, the same land mass. You take a satellite view of Haiti, you can see what a border is. Death and destruction. You cannot give voodoo credit and God bless it. Now in your life, now in your marriage, now in your business, you better give credit to the true and living God. Respect the true and living God to give you credit for being righteous. So you look at the world. As a young man, I began to look at the world, look at the environment I was in, look at how I wanted to see. I wanted to be successful. I wanted God to look at me and brag at me like he did Job. I want to say, check him out. Yeah, check him out. Try him. And in order to do that, I have to be pure of all this garbage that the world was giving me about who I was and my capabilities. My mother was a high school dropout. My father was a 6th grade dropout. They raised 7 black men and my sister. I keep forgetting about my sister because she's too mean, but that's okay. I still love her. No, but I'm just joking. She's sweet. But my brother's a better example because you keep hearing about the black man, the plight of the black man. You know, we're drug dealers, we're pimps, we're in jail, we got probation, we got problems, we're unemployed, unemployable, put our hats on backwards and we drag our shoes. I actually don't own any tennis shoes, but it's okay. And we hear this problem. My mother raised 7 black men. 6th grade education father, high school dropout mother. She has 7 BMWs, 7 black men working. None of our 7 black men ever been in jail. All of our 7 black men own their home, except one now. They all own their own business. Those 7 black men have 14 degrees on the wall for her. Those 7 black men has given her 9 grandchildren, all through marriage. Those 7 black men think they can control their own destiny. Those 7 black men purchase for her and her husband the entire block she lives on. We just said, take this stuff for yourself, mama. Take this stuff for yourself. You worried about neighbors? No, you ain't worried about no neighbors. You know, raising black men, not to think like black men, but to think like real men. Raising black men to think that I can conquer everything I want to conquer, that's what we have to do to every person here. Whether you're a black man, a white man, Haitian, or American, you got to think about you, the 2 feet that you stand on, the square feet you stand on, you got to control it. You got to control it to the destiny of your children. See, God expects men to have leisure time. He expects you to have leisure time because God wants you to take care of your family and have enough time to sit still and talk to Him. If you don't have any leisure time, folks, you can't talk to God. And you sure enough can't listen to God. If you worry about that phone bill, that car breaking down, that woman who's begging you about how a new coat and a new stove, if you worried about the car and the bills, you can't sit and talk to God. So God expects you to have enough income and prosperity in your life to sit still and talk and listen to Him. He is your Father. He wants to talk to you. But you're so busy putting the fires out. You know, Adam was given dominion over the kingdom to keep and to protect it against all intruders. Then He put Adam to sleep and gave him Eve so he had something to get to work for every day. And then he had Eve, and now he is required to take care of her. And at first he became a farmer. At first he was a hunter. And Eve said, well, you know, that's cool, man, but I can't be dragging these kids around the woods every day when you're trying to find some game. You got to build me a hut somewhere where I can sit and wait for you to bring that food back here. I got to raise these babies. I can't be running through the woods all day like that now. I mean, me and my girlfriend, we may go to the mall and do some grazing, you know, and do some gathering, but we got to have a place to go and come back to and put our little pretty flowers up and little cute things up, play house. So the man builds a hut, and he builds a little road, a little path down to the river. But the woman says, I can't have this little muddy path. I need a freeway. You got to build a, you know, I got this mud on my feet. So the man becomes, from a hunter, he becomes a farmer. Then he scrapes the land free. He breaks the ground open. He plants the seeds. He waters the seeds. He fertilizes the seeds. And then at summertime, he harvests it for his family. But next year, if he gets hurt that winter, they don't plant. If he breaks his leg in the springtime, they don't eat. They depend on him to stay healthy. So the woman says, well, gee, okay, now we got to do something better than that. My kid's a little more vulnerable now. You may get hurt. So plant me an orchard. So you plant that orchard. Now you got this tree. After about 3 or 4 years, this tree now will produce fruit whether you are living or not. If you die, this tree will still provide food and fruit and money for your family. Once you do that work for that tree, once you do the work for that orchard will feed you while you're sitting quietly in the shade talking to your God. You see, my wife and I have built an orchard so that when she became ill, God allowed me to sit by her bed for a year. And every time she woke up in a coma, I call it coma, I call it chemo, and nothing but a coma. Every time she looks up and roll over and look, there was her husband sitting there talking to God about her. Able to sit there all day long. And me and God talking about that rib He gave me. I'm saying, wait a minute. It's not good for me to be alone and you're going to take her away. No, we're going to talk about this. I'm confused. No. This is not, something wrong with this. Allow that man to sit there for a year and talk to him. And God honored that, not only with her being recovered, but prospered for the whole year we were sitting there. We brought 2 homes that year. I'm sitting at home all year long. Didn't travel, didn't speak. We still brought 2 homes. God took care of that problem, but I'm talking to Him about my problem. You see, faith is a verb, folks. It's not a noun. It's a verb. It's not something you're thinking about. It's something you're doing. So if you're burdened down by racism, the white man done you wrong song, if you got a problem with reality, if you think that the white man got you down or America's against you, faith is the verb. I hated that white man with a burning, blind hatred. I hated everything about him, everything about his religion, everything about his country, everything about his God. I hated everything associated with that man. I left the God of my father and grandfather because of this one white boy. And then I had to fight and scrape my way back. You do not want to say no to God to the point where God puts 2,800 pounds on you to get your attention. He got my attention. All I could do was lay down on the bed and look up at the ceiling. I called a good day when I looked down at my toes, even though they wasn't moving. Good day, I can see him though. I still got him. Every day I have to check every day. He's still there? Okay, he's still there. Get you some goals. Talk about goal setting, folks. My goal, right before that accident, my goal was to catch an airplane and go to San Francisco to have a seminar. And to come back on Monday and play softball for a softball team. Like that, my goal was to one day get down in that hallway and get a glass of water on my own. That was goal setting. God got my attention. And me and God talk every day about that attention. And now I have a situation where I have to go and face this racial tension I had in my heart about who I was. And we have a DVD coming out. It's coming out in a few weeks. It's about emancipation, revelation, revolution. Your pastor has a copy of it. You may show it pretty soon. I invite you. I encourage you. You got to see this DVD. It's award-winning. We won an award at the San Diego Black Film Festival. It's about racial reconciliation. It's about the power of the political parties in the process of your life. It will change your process thinking about who you are. But here I was in the hospital thinking that everyone hated me, and I had to find God. I knew my life depended on me finding God. That anger I had was eating me alive. I felt it chewing at my liver. I hated everyone. I couldn't survive in America, so I had to find God. I was looking for God everywhere everyone said he was at. I studied with everyone. I studied with Buddha. I studied Confucian. I studied Muslim. The black man's God, Muslim, the black man's God. The only problem was I was thinking. You can't think and follow these false gods. You got to feel. And I'm thinking, Allah is the black man's God. I said, okay, if Allah is the black man's God and Muhammad is his prophet, how come Muhammad never went to Africa? Never went to Africa. Black man's God. If Muhammad is the prophet and Allah is his God, how come I can't find a Muslim nation where the dirt they stand on can feed them? You would think that God would prosper his people if they're worshiping him his way. You would think that. And I'm thinking instead of feeling, why can't I find a Muslim nation? Matter of fact, when I find a Muslim nation that's taken over from a Christian nation, the dirt stopped producing. I was talking to a pastor today about Ivory Coast. Folks, look at the map. The deserts are following them as they go south. I'm just saying, look for yourself. The desert is following them. When I was a kid, now everybody in Berkeley was a black Muslim, or want to be, or trying to be, sometimes on weekends, you know. And I'm looking at them, and I'm saying, okay, the black man's God, and we're going to be the black man. So I'm studying with it, I'm thinking, I'm finally saying, let's look at Palestine. The Muslims had Palestine for 700 years. They worship Allah every day. They went to Mecca every year. They down their prayer rugs every day, 3 times a day, facing Mecca. They're doing everything their God told them to do, their laws, their customs, everything they did. And all you can get in Palestine was sand dunes and camel dung and flies. You couldn't grow nothing in Palestine but sand dunes. If Allah is God, that means that Allah allowed his people to be pushed out of his land while they're worshiping him, and allow the Jews to come in while they are worshiping him, take over that land, and in one generation that same dirt produces fruit and vegetables and farms and feeds Europe. I'm a thinking man. I'm just wondering, why would I go back to worship a God that we worship while we were on the bottom of the slave ships? coming over here. I'm sorry, if that God cannot keep me free in Africa, that God certainly cannot keep me free here. So I decided that wasn't going to work. I made all my little Muslim friends angry and upset. They still get very angry when you say no to them. The last question I asked them, folks, was, if Muhammad is the prophet, why can't you find any prophecies in the Quran? If you call him a great prophet, you should give me one prophecy. Just one. Not one that came. Just give me one. You know, we get these titles to folks. The great honorable. What's honorable about you lying to people? I'm just trying to tell you how my thought process worked. So I make them angry. I'm saying, what has Allah done to be worth all the praises you're giving him? Name me one great invention came out of Muslim society. Cars, airplanes, medicine, libraries. One thing they've done. One contribution to society. Oh, suicide bombing. I'm sorry. Okay. So as a young man, I'm saying, okay, that's not going to work. I know they look good in their bow ties. I like looking good, but that was okay. It wasn't working for me. I don't like being pies. I don't like being pies. So I was looking at this God called Jehovah. And even though I've been in church a lot, I really understand if you seek, you'll find. My father was a preacher. My grandfather was a preacher. Ladies, the greatest gift to your children is your choice of who their daddy is going to be. The greatest gift you give your child is your choice of who their father is going to be. Because that's what they're going to look at when they get hurt. That's their example of how a man loves a woman. That's their example of how a man works in the community. There's their example of how a man worships their God. That's going to be their example of how they protect their family and love the community. That is your legacy. You can't choose Pookie in them because Pookie doesn't supposed to be breeding. I'm just telling you, Pookie doesn't. See, it used to be a long time ago, Pookie would make no babies, but now Pookie is breeding. We gotta stop. We gotta stop Pookie, man. Pookie, he making babies now, man. So I went looking for Jehovah. I went looking because I knew, in spite of my running crazy out there in the world, my mother calls age 13 to 35 the act of fool years for boys. She raised 7 boys, you would know. I went back because, folks, I saw my father after church. I saw Reverend Weaver after church. I saw my grandfather, Dr. Vaughn, after church, when he was tired, when he was raising his kids, when he was disciplining his children, when he was loving his wife, when he worked in the community. I saw that man who I knew was wise. I knew he really, really, really honestly believed that a grown man died and came out the grave. He believed the story of those disciples. He believed that Christ rose out of the grave alive. And it wasn't a fairy tale. I took another look at Jesus Christ because of their lifestyle, how I knew my father driving 50 miles every day to work one way, coming back after work one way, and then working with me and my brother to keep us straight all night. I saw him. I went, okay, I'm going to go back and look at this God and keep that man going. And I found out, I discovered something, that God was real. And if I wanted God in my life, I had to get real too. And when I discovered that, about the resurrection, you saw in the film, in the resurrection, I went home. I had to accept the fact that I was responsible for that 2,800 pounds that fell on me. It wasn't that white man. It was something me and God had to do together. Because, see, I don't belong to me. If I belong to Christ now, that white guy did not try to kill me. That was between him and God. I don't owe myself any longer, so he don't owe me an apology. He doesn't owe me anything. I had to forget about that. But then I went home and went to this woman who I was staying with, living with. You know what I'm talking about. Walked in the house, went a long drive from San Diego to Oakland, 8 hours on the freeway. She got dinner waiting for me. Her man coming home and said, hey, you know what? Guess what? You got to do something. You got to either marry me or leave me. You got to change your last name or change your address. You got to play me or you got to trade me. And she thought I was drunk. I don't drink. She thought I was high. Then you was drunk. I said, nope, you understand now. God does not give grown men girlfriends. God does not give grown men girlfriends. He doesn't tease men. He doesn't tempt men. So if you're the woman God made for me, I got to thank God his way by giving you the most precious thing I have, my last name. And if you're not the woman God made for me, you are interfering with me finding her. You can't find her up in here. I can't find her with you here. So you got to get on, call Mama coming. Mama coming, and you can't be here, Mama get here. Unless you're Mama. So I called her father, Deacon Warren, and I told her father, just met him one time. I said, Deacon Warren, I know that you cannot be happy with me living with your youngest daughter. That's what he did. Same thing. And then I said, my father, Reverend Weaver, is not happy either. So I want you to know, Deacon Warren, I've asked a little girl to marry me 99 times, and I got all these little maybe, someday should be, of course, I got all these little half answers. And I'm going to ask her tonight one more time to marry me because he's interfering with some blessings of God. I can't have his blessings to have a wife. I can't have his blessings. I knew that. So I'm going to try to convince her. So I'm calling her daddy. Talk to your girl. I'm going to ask her one more time. If I don't get a real clear yes out of her, I'm going to pack her back up and send her back home to you so you can finish raising her. Mr. Warren said, she ain't coming here. Put the girl on the phone. She's not coming here. She is not coming here. I got two more sisters. You got any more brothers left? We're going to do this today. Oh, yeah. And I took her and I found her wedding dress for her. I made her wedding hat for her. I decorated my queen in the way I wanted to present her to me and to the world. She only had to find her gloves and her shoes, I think. I made her hat, but she was 29 years old. I put 29 pearls on her veil. This is my woman. And I took her before God. I went back to her mother's church and stood in front of her mother's church. And I told her and her pastor and the world there was nothing she could ever do to get me to divorce her. It is impossible. She cannot do anything ever to get me to divorce her. Because I didn't marry her, God married us. I'm never, ever going to say to God, you made a mistake. And the reason I can't divorce her is that if I'm the man of the home, everything that goes wrong at home is my fault. I'm the man of the house. God's going to look at me and say, it's your fault. What did you do with that gift I gave you? That's what he's going to do. Now, I'm on the radio saying that to everybody on the radio that there's nothing my wife can do to get me to divorce her. And the guys call up nervous because they get read by their women. And one guy said, Mason, you crazy, man. You can't say to that female, well, if you go home tonight and she's in bed with other man. I said, well, he'll die. Do I get a witness? Oh, yeah. He will die. A very, very slow, very, very painful, agonizing, bloody death. However, I will take her in my arms and say, whatever I did, I'm sorry. But you ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. But we're going to bury the dude in the backyard. We'll get back to be your husband. She cannot do anything to get me to divorce her. Now, some folks say, well, that means she can run the credit card bills up. She sure can. She can. But I'm telling you, once you make that commitment to that woman, she's going to guard those credit card bills. Once you make the commitment that what she knows in her heart, once you tell her and convince her that you're never going to divorce her, all of a sudden you free that woman to correct you when you need correcting. Because she ain't afraid you're going to leave her now. And she can talk to you about things and maybe anger your ego, but you're not going to leave her. So she's free now to say, okay, look here, Junior, this ain't going to work. We got to do something, and you got that insight because now she knows that no matter what she says, she loves you. She ain't going to abuse it. But she can now go to her husband and say, you know what, husband, we got to talk about this. And now you got a partner in your marriage that's not afraid to keep things from you just because you go get angry, so you get angry. You get over it because you got to eat. You know? You have to learn how to free your wives up. Gentlemen, if you can free your wife, if you can free that spirit she has that you don't have, if you can free her up, she will create an environment in your home you can't even imagine. You can't imagine the quality. Here you have this artistic, imaginative, loving, sexy creature spending all day thinking about ways to please you. All day long. You know, I think the boy like this. Yeah, I think you like this, you know. And so when we travel, see, my wife has a philosophy. You don't work at a good marriage, you play at a good marriage. You play at a good marriage. I'm going to tell you, gentlemen, how you can say anything to your wife that you want to say to her and get her to say, okay. Anything I'm going to say in front of the women is still going to work. They're going to know you're doing it, and it's still going to work. I'm going to share with you the secret to be the most happy. See, the reason I discuss my wife so much is that happy married men don't talk and brag about their marriages enough. Single men only hear about marriage from unhappy married men hanging with them at the club, trying to justify why they're out there, because happy married men are too busy at home being happy. So I'm going to share with you a secret. You gentlemen, you don't know especially the secret. How you can say anything to your woman and get her to say, okay, and mean it. You say it while you are holding her in your arms. I want you to try to take your woman in your arms and say something mean to her. You can't do it. You're not man enough to take her in your arms and say something. You can't do it. You got to back away first. Another thing about the mother. Yeah. You can't. You cannot hold her in your arms and say anything bad about her. And she can't say anything bad back to you. If you got a strong discussion you got to make with her, see, women think they run the house. Really, ladies, we just don't care most of the time. We don't care what color dress you put on. We don't care what praise, but things we got to win. If you take your woman in your arms and say, baby, I got to tell you something, and you holding her, while you're holding her, you're going to win. She's going to say, okay. That's okay. It's okay. Because she feels safe and secure in your arms. Ladies, you got two kind of men out here. Men that pray on you and men that pray over you. You got to decide which one you're going to have. Now, gentlemen, if you are a praying man, you try something tomorrow morning. You try to take your wife in your arms before you get out the bed. And you pray over her for that day. You are the high priest in your home. Act like it. And guess what? She's going to start treating you like it. You see, in my home, it's really a phenomenal thing to watch my wife continue to manipulate me to get her way. It's really a great thing. I love it. But people ask me all the time, why do I do things for my wife? And the basic answer is, I love the way she said thank you. Simple as that. She respects my strength. I respect her weakness. I am made to carry luggage and kill bugs for her. It's my job. We are starting an organization of like-minded people. We're going to train your children how to respect each other. We're going to train your men how to praise their women. We're going to train women how to pick good men. We're going to talk to you about who your God is and your relationship to him. I want you to consider joining us. It's called the National United Freedom Alliance. And we're going to launch it here first. We're going to beat back the spirit of the plantation mentality. We're going to beat back the spirit of racism, of womanism, of sexism. We're going to beat it back. They've been attacking us long enough with no response from us. We're going to stand up and show them not only the power of the church, but the power of the Holy Spirit. We're going to show them who God is. We're going to demonstrate to them the guarding, fighting, defensive action of the angels of God. We're going to proclaim the light on this city, and they're going to be shocked at our response. Every time we try this, we win, folks. We win when we show up. We win when we show up. If we don't show up, we don't win. In Kernsville County in California, they had a homosexual teacher cross-dressing in front of six-year-old kids. And saying it was natural, his thing, the way he feels by himself, and he's supposed to do this. They had a school board meeting to discuss firing him, and the homosexual males all showed up with pickets. And they thought that they had won the battle in the homes. See, they thought that daddy wasn't in the houses anymore. They thought that mother was there, single mothers, and daddy was out making more babies, no plantation mentality. They didn't know they had a family community with men in the homes. So you got a 6'4", 20-pound homosexual man with a picket. He thinks he's going to meet a 5'6" female complaining about their children. They got to the school board, and mama stayed home. Daddy showed up. Another 6'4" man is going to kill for his daughter. Another one of these no-feeling men showed up, and the men of the community showed up en masse. They walked in the school board member and said, just in case you want to know, we're not going to discuss this tonight. We're going to fire this gentleman up tonight, or we're going to fire him tonight. Either we're going to fire him up, or we're going to fire. He is no longer going to be allowed to stand in front of our children teaching anything any longer tonight. Those men stood up and said, you remove those placards or we can remove you in those placards, those signs. Take your signs down, take your protest down. Tonight, this agenda is closed. We are going to fire this homosexual, child-abusing, lying, filthy, degenerate person, and we're going to give him another job. It's going to be, I don't know what it is, but he will not be around our children. When we show up, church, we win. Just show up. Every miracle in the Bible required man to act on the word of God first, in spite of what he sees, in spite of how big Goliath is, in spite of how tall the walls around Jericho is, in spite of how deep and wide the Jordan River is. Walk. God said walk. And the river then split into the feet of the priest, touched it. Walk. The closer they got, the higher the water looked, the wilder the water was. Walk. Act like you believe God. Either you're going to drown or God is real. Goliath stood there in front of the people of God, blaspheming God. God never calls a man that's lazy. He only calls busy men. Here's David, busy. On his way, take care of his brother, take care of his father's business. On his way, I got a minute. Anybody got any rocks? I got a minute. I understand he got some brothers. Give me 5 rocks. He got some brothers. I got some for them too. On it, busy. Walked out in faith. God took Goliath down. The walls of Jericho, the people in the city knew who God was, proclaimed, we scared of your God. Your God's bad. We heard what you did down the street. But they still stood there against the people of Israel, and God said, shut up and walk. No murmuring, be quiet and walk. And all they had to do was go in the city and take up the spoils. We got a wall around us. We got giants in front of us. We got obstacles void for us to even talk to each other. Satan has shown us with our eyes how big Goliath is. God has shown us in his word how insignificant he is. But all we got to do, folks, is stand up and walk towards glory. Put the problem in between you and God and try to get to God. That's what we realize. You can never receive what God desires for you until you achieve what God requires of you. God bless you.